Chapter 8. A Man's Reputation. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. Proverbs 22, 1 ESV. Over the years, I have worked hard to establish a good name, a reputation that speaks of integrity, character, and honor. But I can't say it has always been that way. In the early part of my ministry, my reputation wasn't something I carefully guarded. In fact, if I'm being completely honest, I had a tendency to repel people rather than draw them in. At the time, I couldn't understand why relationships felt distant, why leadership felt like a struggle, or why people hesitated to follow me. I thought I was doing everything right, preaching passionately, casting vision, and putting in long hours. But something wasn't clicking. It wasn't until a trusted friend sat me down one day over coffee that I began to see what was really going on. I still remember the moment vividly. We were sitting in a small cafe, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. My friend looked across the table at me with a serious yet compassionate expression. "Can I be honest with you?" he asked. I nodded, not realizing that what he was about to say would shake me to my core. "You wonder why people keep their distance from you," he continued. "It's because you come across as desperate and arrogant. You're constantly bragging about yourself, your so-called accomplishments, whether real or exaggerated, and it doesn't feel genuine. People don't feel heard when they talk to you. You're not present. You don't seem to care about what they have to say, and that makes it hard for them to trust you as a leader." His words stung like a slap in the face. I could feel a knot forming in my stomach. Desperate, arrogant, not genuine? Those weren't the traits I wanted to be known for. That wasn't the kind of leader I aspired to be. For a moment, I wanted to defend myself. I wanted to explain that my confidence wasn't arrogance, that my passion wasn't desperation, that my focus on my accomplishments wasn't self-centeredness. But I knew deep down that none of those excuses would hold up, because the truth was, he was right. Looking back, I can see that much of my arrogance was rooted in insecurity. I had spent years needing affirmation, craving approval, and longing for validation. And because I was desperate to be seen, to be respected, to be acknowledged, I unknowingly turned every conversation into a monologue about myself. I was so busy trying to prove my worth that I failed to truly see the worth in others. Instead of leading with humility, I was leading with a fragile ego. Instead of serving people, I was trying to impress them. That conversation with my friend forced me to take a hard look in the mirror. I realized that my name and reputation were suffering. Not because I lacked talent, vision, or dedication, but because my character was not aligned with the values I preached. I was more focused on looking successful than on actually being the kind of man who inspired trust, respect, and loyalty. That was the day I decided something had to change. Building a good name doesn't happen overnight, and once it has been damaged, restoring it takes even longer. There were no shortcuts, only consistent daily choices to be a better man than I was the day before. First, I had to listen more than I spoke. I made it a point to engage in conversations with genuine interest, not just waiting for my turn to speak. I asked questions, paid attention, and truly cared about what others had to say. Slowly, people began to open up to me in ways they never had before. Second, I had to let go of the need for validation. I stopped boasting about every minor accomplishment. Instead, I focused on letting my work speak for itself. If I was doing what God had called me to do, then I didn't need to advertise my worth. My character would be my testimony. Third, I had to embrace humility, not as a weakness, but as a pillar of strength. Humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less. It's recognizing that the greatest leaders are the greatest servants, that people don't follow titles, they follow character. That integrity speaks louder than charisma. I've worked hard to protect my reputation since that conversation. Not because I care about popularity, but because my name carries weight, and so does yours. The Bible says in Proverbs 22:1, A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. A good name, your reputation, is worth more than wealth, status, or accolades. You can earn back money, but you cannot easily earn back trust. Over the years, I have encountered many men whose reputations have suffered because they failed to guard their integrity. The man who was known for always being late, breaking commitments, and making excuses. The man who had a reputation for being dishonest in business dealings, cutting corners, and twisting the truth. The man whose name became synonymous with infidelity, who lost his family because he failed to honor his vows. The man who constantly manipulated others, making promises he never intended to keep. All of these men had something in common. They did not value their name until it was too late. Your reputation is your legacy. One day when your time on this earth is over, what will people say about you? Will they say that you were a man of integrity, discipline, and wisdom? That you were trustworthy, honorable, and kind? Or will your name be spoken with regret, distrust, or disappointment? The way you live today determines how you will be remembered tomorrow. Your reputation isn't just about you. It affects your family, your children, your ministry, your business, and your influence. When people hear your name, what impression does it leave? At the end of the day, my reputation is not just mine. It belongs to the one I represent. I am not just carrying my own name. I am carrying the name of Christ. Everything I do reflects him. That realization changed everything for me. So I challenge you today. What does your name say about you? What legacy are you building? Because whether you realize it or not, your name will outlive you, for better or for worse. Make sure it's one worth remembering. The value of a good name. There are few things in life more valuable than a good name. A strong reputation built on integrity, honesty, and faithfulness. We live in a world where people strive for wealth, fame, and success, but the Bible reminds us that none of these things are as valuable as the character behind your name. Proverbs 22. 1 tells us, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold. That verse speaks volumes. A man can lose all his money and earn it back. He can lose his job and find another one. But if he loses his good name, it is one of the hardest things to rebuild. Your name is more than just the label you were given at birth. It represents who you are, what you stand for, and the kind of legacy you will leave behind. What a name represents? Think about some of the great men of faith throughout history. Abraham, David, Paul. Their names hold weight, not because they were perfect, but because they were men of faith, men of integrity, men who sought after God. Now think about names that carry a different kind of reputation. Judas Iscariot, Ananias and Sapphira, King Saul. Their names are remembered, but not for their faithfulness or integrity. Instead, they are remembered for betrayal, dishonesty, and failure. That's the power of a name. It either brings honor or disgrace, favor or shame. A good name is like a sturdy foundation. When your name is trusted, people respect you. They listen when you speak. They invite you into places where character matters more than credentials. A good name opens doors that money and status never could. But on the other hand, a bad name follows a person wherever they go. Even if they move to a new city or change careers, their reputation will eventually catch up with them. A man who is known as unreliable, dishonest, or arrogant will struggle to be taken seriously, no matter how talented he may be. The fragility of a reputation. A reputation takes years to build, but only moments to destroy. One wrong decision, one lie, one lapse in judgment, and everything a man has worked for can come crumbling down. That's why protecting your name is more important than protecting your possessions. People often assume that small compromises don't matter. They think, it's just a little lie, or nobody will ever know. But the truth is, every decision we make either strengthens or weakens our name. Take King David, for example. He was a man after God's own heart, yet his name was stained by his sin with Bathsheba and the murder of Uriah. Even though he repented, his reputation suffered. His name, once associated with honor and righteousness, carried the shadow of his failure. Contrast that with Joseph, who refused to compromise his integrity, even when faced with temptation in Potiphar's house. His decision to guard his name and honor God eventually led him to great favor, influence, and promotion. The difference between David's reputation and Joseph's reputation was one moment of weakness versus a lifetime of faithfulness. This is why the choices we make today matter. People may forget what you said, but they won't forget how you lived. Your name and your influence. A good name isn't just about personal pride, it's about your influence. The stronger your reputation, the greater your ability to impact others. When people hear your name, what do they think? Do they associate it with trustworthiness, integrity, and wisdom? Or do they think of broken promises, inconsistency, and self-centeredness? Your name will speak for you before you even walk into a room. A man with a good name doesn't have to force doors open. They open naturally because people trust him. A man with a bad name finds doors closing because people remember his past actions and hesitate to give him another chance. Think about men who have built great ministries, businesses, and communities. Their names alone carry weight. When people hear names like Billy Graham, Charles Spurgeon, or Martin Luther King Jr., they immediately associate those names with character, leadership, and influence. Now think about names that have been tarnished by scandal or moral failure. No matter how much good they once did, their bad choices overshadow their legacy. A good name allows a man to walk in favor and honor, but a man who neglects his character will find that his name will work against him rather than for him. Building a name that lasts. Many people spend their lives trying to chase success instead of building a name worth remembering. But success without integrity is empty. A man with money but no character will always live in fear of being exposed. But a man with a good name doesn't have to hide or pretend. He lives with freedom and confidence. So, how do you build a strong, honorable name? It's not through one big moment of righteousness. It's through small daily choices that reflect integrity, honesty, and faithfulness. It's the decision to tell the truth, even when it's easier to lie. It's the habit of keeping your promises, even when it's inconvenient. It's the discipline of treating people with respect, regardless of their status. It's the commitment to do what's right, even when no one is watching. Your name is your legacy. It's what your children will inherit. It's what people will remember long after you're gone. At the end of your life, what do you want your name to stand for? Will people say you were a man of character, a man of integrity, a man who honored God? Or will they whisper about your failures, your selfishness, and your broken promises? The truth is, we are all writing our legacy right now. Every action, every word, and every decision is shaping how our name will be remembered. A good name in God's eyes. While it's important to have a good reputation in the eyes of people, what matters most is having a good name before God. The Bible tells us that favor with man is temporary, but favor with God is eternal. Luke 2:52 says, "And Jesus increased in wisdom and in stature and in favor with God and man." Notice the order. Favor with God comes first, then favor with man. If we focus on pleasing people instead of honoring God, we will compromise our values for the sake of approval. But if we seek first to please God, He will take care of our reputation and influence. Jesus himself warned about seeking the approval of people rather than living with integrity before God. The Pharisees were concerned about their public image, but Jesus exposed their hearts. They looked righteous on the outside, but their hearts were corrupt. The same is true today. Some men pretend to be godly in public, but live dishonestly in private. Others may not be famous, but they are faithful, honest, and trustworthy, and their good name is known by God and respected by those around them. The goal is not to have a name that is well known, but to have a name that is well respected. Your name is your responsibility. A good name is not something you are born with. It's something you build. No one is entitled to respect, trust, or honor. Those things must be earned through consistency, humility, and faithfulness. And once you have a good name, it must be protected. A good name is more valuable than gold because gold fades, but a legacy lasts. What are you doing today to build a name worth remembering? Because one day your name will either open doors of blessing or close doors of opportunity.